Jesus say, come on.
Hello, this is Alfonso Seville, Associate Research Scholar with the Crossroads Project at Princeton University. Thanks for listening to Divine Spirituals, Sacred Sound in Memphis, which explores the world of Black sacred music in Memphis, Tennessee. In this story, you'll hear Memphis gospel musicians reflect on how the sound of gospel music in Memphis has been shaped by diverse musical, social, and cultural traditions. Our story starts at the Memphis Listening Lab, which its website describes as a curated collection of music and music history, located in the Crosstown Concourse building in Memphis.
We opened in July of 2021. We had a group of people that got together and they wanted to bring a nonprofit music library to the Crosstown Concourse building.
That's Jim Cole, lead archivist and one of the curators of the music collection at the Memphis Listening Lab. In addition to being a repository for music and music history, it also provides a forum for music education, appreciation, and performances.
Where they can listen to albums at individual listening stations. We've got a small production room where we have a station for doing digital music editing, and there's a turntable so you can make samples from the collection. There's a station for podcasting, and that's all free for the public. You just reserve time and come in. And then where we're sitting now is our sound room, which was, this room was built from the ground up by some audio engineers as a listening room. So we have a lot of local artists come to this room and have record release events, or we'll do, workshops, things like that in here. And those are all free public events.
I asked Jim to say a bit more about some of the gospel music in the library's collection.
As far as collections, we're having, bits of stuff trickling in. We're getting record labels like Fat Possum, send us a few hundred albums. There's not a huge collection of gospel, but there are some of the small independent Memphis label stuff.
What are some of the names of some of those smaller labels?
Well, probably the best is the Designer label.
Sure, yeah.
That's Style Wooten. It was a custom label where anyone could come there, pay a fee, record 2 songs, and you would get 300, 500, 45s.
And then you
and then
sell them.
Then it was up to you to sell them.
on
So
your
a lot
own,
of those
yeah.
never even made it into stores. They were just sold at churches and things. And he put out hundreds of those. I mean, it was a really, really interesting little venture. But he had a number of labels outside of Designer, which was kind of geared towards Black gospel music. That's probably the main one. But there's been a lot of them that have, come and gone. And of course, the 50s was such a great period for gospel music in Memphis. With the Spirit of Memphis Quartet, the Patterson-Airs, and those people were really huge. So Memphis was a really big gospel town.
To better understand Jim's answer, I asked him to reflect on musical forms found within the genre of Black sacred sound.
How would you define the musical genre spiritual?
Spiritual, wow. I guess that can mean a lot of things, but when I hear spiritual, I immediately think of Black gospel music, although many things can be spiritual, of course. But yeah, if I had to say, that's what immediately comes to mind.
Jim assured me that while he was no expert on Black sacred music, he knew just who I should speak to. He connected me with Reverend Juan Shipp. Reverend Shipp is the host of Gospel Talk Back in the Day, a radio program that features traditional and contemporary local gospel on Saturday mornings. He also founded Divine Spirituals, a record label that recorded gospel music in Memphis during the 1960s and 70s, along with acts such as Elder Ward and the Gospel Four, The Joy of Memphis, The Traveling Stars, and soloist Elizabeth King. The Divine Spirituals label became known for pioneering a unique sound that fused traditional gospel with blues and R&B, a unique innovation in the sonic landscape of Black sacred music. I sat down with Shipp and King, the label's most prominently featured artists, to pose some of the same questions to them about the legacy of Black sacred music in Memphis.
What is a spiritual?
When you're talking about spirituals, the first thing that comes to mind is your connection with a God. And I think anyone that has a spiritual outlook, period, he's got a God somewhere, whether it be a God, the only God, or where one day that is passed down from generations, whatever it may be. And that's what spiritual means to me.
Well, I think spiritual, like I said, getting in touch with their power, and it's the secret, the depths of your soul, and your soul, the mind, because when they said the heart, out of the heart flows the issue of life, and when you become spiritually, you have something to guide you. It's something that really to keep you in touch with a higher power. That's what I feel. Spiritual.
The music,
Yeah,
singing, the
the
practice
singing,
of singing.
and I remember, like when I was young, and they had this song that I was way down yonder by myself, and I couldn't hear nobody pray, and I was thinking we'd be chopping cotton and all that stuff, and be way down, hot, sweat running out, and then you start calling on the Lord Jesus, and it looked like the power of this, give you the strength to go on. That's my spiritual.
When I think about spirituals, I think about slavery.
That's Damian Savage, minister of music here in Memphis, and also a former road musician for the acclaimed recording artists Earth, Wind and Fire and Memphis legend Isaac Hayes. I thought Damian's perspective would be informative given his extensive career as a musician in both religious and non-religious settings.
The songs that got us through. All you had was your thoughts and your hopes of something better than what you have right now. And then moreover, when I think about how clever they were, a lot of those spirituals were cryptic messages. Man, you're thinking about folks that can't even read, but they wrote songs, meaningful songs,
Yeah.
meaningful songs that also had a cryptic message in it too. I strike midnight, we out of here, Doc. We hitting, we hit the river, Doc.
Right.
Get the smell off you so the dogs won't smell you. You know what I mean? Wade in the water. Why?
Right.
To get the smell off you so master's dogs won't know. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's cold blooded, man. So spirituals is something, it's a song, uplifting, um, uplifting songs, for them to something for their hope to feed off of, because hope needs food,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
something for their, to settle my thoughts, music, a song, and then it's also got a message of how I'm going to lead my folks to freedom, how I'm going to help my people.
Like King, Shipp, and Savage were able to identify specific songs from the sacred tradition they found particularly inspiring.
Believe it or not, I have a favorite song too, although I can't sing.
Okay.
But mine is Nobody Knows. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
I guess one of my favorite spirituals would be I like Keep Your Lamps Oiled and Burning. I like I got this one, I done what he told me to do.
Mm.
Um and say Swing Low because that's almost pop. Um you know.
All of the interviewees noted the impact of family on shaping their early appreciation for Black sacred music.
My grandmother started me out playing piano, and really she couldn't play a note, but she knew the notes on the piano, and she could read rhythms, and she taught me She taught me my notes and how to count simple rhythms, and then I started taking lessons. But my mom's a piano player. She's her degree is actually in piano. But yeah, they didn't have to force me to do it. I wanted to do it. I
Yeah,
wanted to do it. I really had a desire. Sometimes the practice schedules I didn't really like because my grandmama was one of those. She was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it."
a
And
stickler, right?
so,
A
yeah,
stickler for the schedule. Yeah.
yes, sir. So,
The communities of faith that passed down the sacred musical tradition were also important for shaping their performative voices.
yeah, just growing up, yeah, it was definitely church. Definitely
Mhm.
church was the first crowd I would say that I ever played played in front of. Every time they had anything that somebody that could showcase, you know, one of the youth playing the piano,
Mhm.
so I always had that experience every year
What's
at
the
Easter. So we want Damien to play something.
King first honed her musical talents singing alongside her mother in the choir, and then as part of her brother's gospel chorale. Later, she passed on the gift of music to her own children, cultivating their appreciation for black sacred sound.
3 years old, I was singing with my mom, and so they usually have a children choir,
Yeah.
but I always stayed with my mom, so she always take me to the choir with her. And so I sung with my mom, go home. Then my family, my brothers, they started a group, and I would sing with them. My mama let me sing with them until I became a teenager. Then I couldn't go with my big brother. I had to stay at home. But I continued to sing solo, and I've been singing ever since. And then when I started having my children, my husband was a pastor, and all of my children was the choir. 15 children.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I missed that in the line. I didn't read that. I missed that one.
And so we stayed. I stayed, and after I left pastorship, and I just been singing most of my life.
With two new album releases in the last several years, King's musical career, one that has spanned more than 50 years, has seen a recent resurgence. But despite her longevity, she's never strayed from her gospel foundation.
I just always been one that I wouldn't jump in from one, like some singers can sing good on all on weekend the blues, and then come on Sunday morning and read the shouting and all that stuff. I'm not into that.
Right.
My mind was totally on one thing. And I love good old gospel music, and I love those old hymn licks, and that's what I love, and that's what soothes my soul.
During his early years, Reverend Shipp explored diverse musical styles as his own taste developed, but he was careful to hide some of his interests from his parents.
And what really made me want to really go into nightclubs was because the Starlight Review and all that, they bring it to Memphis, they had the gospel first and then the blues come on later.
Okay.
And the ones that came for the gospel stayed to hear the blues. Because it's the same thing.
Same music.
When I was growing up, I was in the band at Jeter, and as I got to the 11th and 12th grade, I formed a little jazz band, and we used to play for all of the proms and all that kind of different schools and benefits and stuff. Although my mom and dad didn't know it. Now, I came from a religious family as well. My dad was a preacher and pastor. My mom was a first lady. She was stricter than my dad. Now, my dad, if we played funny cards and that kind of stuff, he wouldn't mind it. But mom, oh, it's a sermon in that. But not catch you. And don't shoot no marbles either.
Damian Savage's grandmother was strongly opposed to him playing non-religious music. In fact, Her strong oppositional stance nearly cost him a golden opportunity.
But my grandmama was the one that she didn't want me playing secular music.
Mm,
She was one of those. We couldn't you definitely couldn't listen to devil music in her house.
okay.
We couldn't even play cards, not Uno. We
Right.
couldn't play Uno. Get those cards out of here. She talked and talked and talked about me playing for Isaac to the point where I didn't even answer the phone when Benny called.
In case you missed it, his grandmother didn't want him to play for Isaac, as in Memphis soul recording legend Isaac Hayes. Savage wouldn't challenge his grandmother, but a family member eventually intervened.
He called all day and all day. And so finally my auntie called me and she said, Benny said he been calling you. What are you doing over there, boy? All the kind of stuff. And I said, well, Granny said she don't want me playing for the world and da 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 da. Next thing I know, I hear Granny's phone ringing. So they talked on the phone. I don't know what was said. It was a good 10 minutes they talked on the phone. Next thing I know, my grandmother came in. She said, go on and call that man back and walk back out of the room. So I went on and called Benny, but she did not want me she didn't want me playing secular music.
Shipp also continued to explore diverse musical sounds throughout his life, a fact that, in part, explains the unique gospel blues sound of the Divine Spirituals label.
But now, I also was one of the first back in the day, in the 70s, they would put certain things on blues songs and all that, and there was a wah-wah.
And oh, keep my hand from doing things.
Wah wah is Memphis 70s slang for the electric guitar, which was commonly used in blues and later funk musical arrangements.
That was the one little fellow, he played the wah-wah, and I heard that. I said, ooh, that'll sound good on gospel music. And one of my friends said, man, you gonna put that on the gospel? I said, I sure am. I say, everything that has breath ought to praise the Lord. So it doesn't matter what it is, the saxophone, the trumpet, the guitar, whatever. And I put it on there. I'm going to tell you the truth. My songs was more richer than any other in this area. And I think that's what really caused Bruce Watson to hear it, because he listened at some of the tapes that I had produced back then, and he just fell in love with it. And bingo.
The fusion of traditional gospel with elements of blues rhythms and instrumentations would come to define the Memphis gospel sound and remain a recognizable feature for decades to come. When you listen to the songs that were in the Divine Spirituals collection, what were
Yeah.
just some of your initial impressions?
Well, first of all, I didn't, and maybe you said it, but I didn't know she was from Memphis.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
Elizabeth
tell
King.
people, yeah,
Hmm.
Elizabeth King. Yeah, I didn't know she was from Memphis, and so I'm listening to this. I was like, my God, this woman sounds like she's from Memphis. When I went to the listening lab, man, I'm out of my phone. Elizabeth King bio. And then before I even clicked on anything, you know how they show you a little thumbnail, a little bit of it. And I saw Memphis. I said, I knew it.
Because his musical career included playing for both sacred and secular audiences, I asked Savage about the crossroads of genres at which elements of blues and gospel come together to create new sounds.
I always say that music is music. I can tell you about when I moved to Tucson, I was ministering music for Ricky Hartman. So we had this lady in the choir, and this lady just had a serious problem with me playing for Isaac Hayes and coming in here and being our minister music and talking about the Bible in here. And I said, Isaac Hayes is a job. That's a job. I said, where do you work? at the post office. I said, what church does your boss go to? I don't know. Does your job directly glorify God in any way? No, but how else am I going to earn? Thank you. Isaac Hayes is a job, and that job requires me to play his music. Can we appreciate? Can we appreciate the music? I don't let the sacred songs point a finger at the secular songs and say y'all
Mhm.
ain't worthy of him listening because you're not talking about Jesus. You're not talking about
Mhm.
God. You're not talking
Mhm.
about religion. No, you don't look down. That's still music over there. And
Mhm.
it's awesome music. And it's music that all came from the same place.
There you go.
And it's all music. That's one thing about it. All of it is music. It's just got a different attitude in front of it.
Reverend Shipp also hopes to capitalize on the crossover appeal of the divine spiritual sound to attract non-religious audiences.
Now, I have always wanted to sing gospel in the nightclub. That's what I want to do. And I was amazed we got a chance to send Liz to Paris. She got a chance to sing in nightclubs.
Something I never been in nightclubs. So I was always afraid to go in places like that because I was scared of people that drink.
Okay.
And so, but when we Paris, when over there, every place we went to was nightclub. But boy, I got a chance to bring the water out there.
Yeah, right. And another thing, she was in the Memphis Fest this past year, and she was doing great. And then all of a sudden, I mean, everybody was enjoying and everything. It was fine. All of a sudden, all the electricity went. The generator just poop went out. No, no microphones or nothing. And because of her abilities of singing with or without, she was able to tell everybody, come a little closer. It's not going to stop us from singing. And she sang a good, slow, beautiful number. And you could see tears coming from the eyes. Now, this is out in a great big park. You could see the tears. I mean, it was fantastic.
Ever since I found the Christ.
And so, uh, I admire her because she sings from her heart.
While Elizabeth King is adamant that she only performs gospel, she recognizes that gospel music is shaped by diverse musical genres and appreciates how that diversity contributes to innovations in music.
Because, uh, like I tell everybody, music is just music.
Music.
And they would say, well, did your children play music in the house? Yeah. What did they play? I said they played music. I said, cause really I don't know music. You know what I mean? I don't play music. And my son, he played bass, guitar, lead guitar. All my kids was music
Class,
played,
yeah.
you know. But I didn't tell them you can't play B.B. King. I didn't tell them that because on Sunday morning, that's who playing for the choir. The same people's playing in the club is playing in the choir. I has nothing to do with nobody else's soul. It's my soul.
There you go.
So that's the way I always tell my children, whatever you gonna do, make sure that you're doing it from your soul. Because your soul is the one that gonna be lost or saved.
Research for this project was funded by a Fellows Grant from the Crossroads Project, a collaborative research initiative directed by Judith Weisenfeld, Anthea Butler, and Lerone Martin, and supported by the Henry Luce Foundation and Princeton University. All music excerpts from this story were originally recorded on the Divine Spirituals label and are available for streaming and purchase at all streaming platforms. Special thanks to Judith Weisenfeld, the Henry Luce Foundation, and the Memphis Listening Lab. And thanks to you for listening.